every domi regune walai warnanga la chesa bopala na mawarchi walu ligei rewi dep kuna de ligei kor lu warnala nga xamne face tax mo ñëk ci walu defar remi ben dëkk du dem ci kanam without paying taxes pour remi jëm ci kanam warna ku ne nga face tax bul ko jéema fàtte fay sa tax lu waaye réew la kon def ko misa soxla li ngay fay dépasse GRA lu waa moo ko dooleel pour mu fay ko tax GRA mi na ko la naamoo ñen na joola du ko rek na ñenaal GRA.
Hello viewers from wherever you're watching us from. You're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we are broadcasting from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. My name is Aliou Cisse, and it's now time for your weekly, taxpayer education program here on QTV, brought to you by the Gambia Revenue Authority in partnership with the French Development Agency. This program is earmarked to better engage with the taxpayers and to, further sensitize Gambians on the need to pay tax and then the tax laws in the country. As usual, I'm joined on the program by Dabel Kande, who is a tax officer. Dabel, good to have you on the program once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And for the first time, we are joined by Ibrahim S. Sane, taxpayer education officer. Mr. Sane, good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much, Aliou, and good evening, good afternoon to our esteemed viewers, as well as taxpayers. We welcome you to yet another edition of taxpayer education program on QTV.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sane. The last guest needs no introduction. He's Babukar Jai, senior taxpayer education officer. Babs, la dalalat. Ay garawte nak. Raate mom losol. Do last week Puma la won tay mom Nike.
Nike la. Cameraman daf ko wara feñal nak am.
Votalu no.
Thank you very much.
Babs, la dalalat.
maa ngi fay ñu ngi nuyu everybody fu waay mun di seetaane rek comme niñ ko dee defee every Saturday ñun waa GRA ñoo fi dee ñëw pour discuss ak yéen ni ñoo doxalee réew mi si wàllum naamo loolu moo tax ñu ñëw fi tey ñu ngi la jaajëfal yow tam bu baax si li ñu dee host.
Okay. Jerejef Babukar, well viewers, if you've been following the program for the past 2 weeks, we've been discussing a very important topic, which is the guidelines for import and export in the country. Last week, we were joined by the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo, via telephone call. And then we will just take a listing of that interview we had with the CG last week, because he made quite important points relating to the guidelines for import and export in the country. Let's take a listing, and when we return, we will further discuss, the CG's comments from our last program. Let's take the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo. Seji, good to have you on the program.
Oh, thank you so much, Aliou. Thank you so much. I'm really enjoying Henry.
Kebama.
Punak.
Bulong. I'm really happy today that you are speaking to me in Manjago. Uchakalil. Nasimbati wara wa. Mak. Yeah, I don't mind Aliou and Babukar.
Yes, CJ, I know you've been following the program. You have had, we're discussing the guidelines for import and export. Is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Yes, Aliou, thank you once again. It's important that
Hello, CJ.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm saying that I'm happy to join you on the program, and the fact that you this time around and last week you started discussing about import and export.
Yeah.
As you has been said earlier on, GRA has about 8 departments, but there are only 2 operational departments, and that is the Customs and Excise, and also the Domestic Tax Department. And domestic tax as what itself, they concentrate on mobilizing revenue domestically, and the customs concentrate mobilizing revenue on international. So it is important that it is important that you, in your taxpayers' education, you try to touch both areas. And for import-export, that is the subject today. The things that you mentioned are very important. Everything that comes into this country, if it is import, it has to be accompanied by certain documents. First, it must have a bill of lading. Second, there must be accompanying invoice. And in that invoice, it will indicate CIF, Banju, meaning cost, insurance, and freight. And that it has to be an original invoice. This is what we are looking for. It also has to get packing list. If it is foodstuffs, it also has to get health certificate, etc., etc. These are the key things that we look forward when somebody imports. And when you import, you also don't go directly to GRA, but you have to go through a third party, and that is the clearing and forwarding agents. These people, their job is to be between GRA and the importers. So they normally they are registered businesses.
So they are more like brokers.
Clearing and forwarding agents. They will take all these documents and try to prepare the customs entry to the Asikuda. Now that you know about Asikuda Wall, which has given the whole world the opportunity to start interacting with it, either you are at home or at the office or anywhere you are. As long as you can get internet, you can have access to the Asikuda Wall. And then you can prepare your entry, and you can be allowed to go up to the point of assessing yourself. By the way, I must quickly say this. The rules are self-assessment. We relied on you people to self-assess themselves based on the fact that they will have original invoices when they are importing, when they are assessing. And that gives them opportunity to assess until they know the tax that they're supposed to pay. However, if we realize that the invoice that you submitted, which you assess yourself, it is not an original invoice, we will ask you to make sure you submit the original. Where we fail to get that original invoice from you, we have in the office what we indicative values or reference values. These reference values replaces the original invoice, because some importers, it is very difficult to get the original invoice from them. And our assessment is based on the original invoice, CIF Banju. But where we don't have the CIF Banju original from you, then we have to refer to our indicative value or the reference value. And that is what we will use to whatever, if your tax is short based on the assessment, then they will use those values to assess you correctly. This is how the importation process goes. In simple terms, anybody who imports, we expect you to go through a clearing and forwarding agent. The clearing and forwarding agent, they are registered business. We register them. The GRA register them, give them license to operate. In the event they are found wanted, there are punishments that are there for them, and they all know about that. So they are also being very careful not to do something that will cost them their job, because most of them, their career job is clearing and forwarding. So they try to be very careful in what they are doing, because they know if they misstep, then GRA will take punishment. So most of the time, we don't even see the importer. At the level of GRA, the operational, the importers will be somewhere else. The only face they will see, it will be the clearing and forwarding again. And even those people, now, because of the coming of the Asikuda Wall, you even don't need to see them, because everything is system-driven. So thank God to the Asikuda Wall coming, which is really a very good tool, and it's helping us in terms of our enforcement. Right now, if somebody submits some, I heard Babukar talking about direct delivery facility, which it means it's part of trade facility. So somebody has a bulk cargo. Bulk cargo here means it of sugar, rice, cement, and the things like that. Or you have consignment, which you are supposed to pay 10 million, 5 million. Maybe to have the cash liquid cash with you. The businessman may not have that on the spot. He or she can apply for trade facilitation, what we call direct delivery facility, and it will be approved to them. And once it's approved within a month, before the coming of the Asikuda wall, some people, when we give them that facility, when the deadline comes, they normally don't come to pay, forward to pay. So our enforcement will go after them, running after them. So we do have a lot of problems, in those days. But now, it's a total different game. Once this assessment is done, a direct delivery is given to you. Either at the end of the month, you come and pay, or you are expected to have the SIC, that's the Special Investment Certificate, or you are expected to have duty waiver. If at the end of the month, if you don't bring those documents or you did not come to pay, the Asikuda system will block you from our system, both the clearing agents and the importer. So that becomes automatic. And even myself as CG, I cannot do anything about it. So at the end of the day, the agents will not be operated to do a work for another project. So you see, the clearing agent himself or themselves will not allow that thing to happen, because it means that if you don't pay that particular direct delivery, you will not be able to operate. You will not be able to do work for other people. So it means that it's the end of your job. So even if the importer doesn't want to pay, now the enforcement will come from the clearing agent to say, you have to pay this, because if you don't, you are now making me jobless. So our system is such a good system that it's helping us physically going after people for enforcement. But the system itself is doing the enforcement. And within the Asikuda, we also have these reference values. In case you submit something that is far from being original, the reference values are there to refer to. So the system will indicate, and they will know that the submission that you make is wrong. Because this is a developing country. We must acknowledge that we depend on taxation for most of our development agenda. And as such, we always have to come up with this kind of reforms, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to collect the right tax for the government. I must say that it's not easy to pay tax. Nobody wants to depart with money. So the job we have is not an easy job. It's like we are after people to come and pay. People who import, we make sure that they pay. People who do business within the economy, domestically, we make sure that they also, come forward and pay. But the reality of life is that, Ali, people don't want to depart with money. So
especially by the bunkers.
And the Sarawulis,
Baukar will also want that one.
The bunkers don't want to pay, but the Sarawulis, they don't also want to depart with money. So this is the situation, Ali. But we're doing this collection with a human face. Here I said we do it with human face. My staff, they try their utmost best to be professional, to be talking to people with a smile, and then trying to talk to them with respect, so that at the end of the day, you will pay the money, but you will not be mad at them. Because we know that to depart with money is always difficult. But what we expect from everybody is, when you import, bring us your original documents. If you don't give us your original document, we will impose an amount on you. And you may not like to have that amount. So the easiest thing is self-assessment. Both systems, both for either import and export, or if for domestic taxes, we have self-assessment system. So we don't come, GRA will not come and impose on LCC, this is what you are supposed to pay. No. We allow you, we give you benefit of the doubt. To say, I import a container of 20 footer, and these are the items there. This is the original invoice. What we do need to do is, the rates are in the system. So within a short period of time, you can clear your container. Anybody who has difficulties in clearing his or her container, it means that their documentations are not in order. But if your documentations are in order, you have your original bill of lading, your original invoices, parking list, it will take you less than 24 hours to clear your container from the port. So these are the things that really we are doing at the ports level and in GRA as general. I am very happy to be part of this program, in the sense that it's helping the people to understand. Because sometimes when you don't understand the procedures.
Yeah.
It sounds like a rocket science. But these are not rocket science. These are simple things. And you just have to follow the procedure. And if you respect the rule of the game, you don't have a problem. So we are appealing to everybody who are involved in the import-export. Just to that, the requirements you follow. If you do that, then it's easy. And we are always ready to help you in terms of trade facilitation. We have desk officers who are there either at domestic tax or customs who can explain to you what you are supposed to do when it comes to import and export. And yet we go extra mile to create a facility we call direct delivery facility. That means if you don't have money on the spot to pay for something, we can give you 30 days and allow you to collect your goods from the port to avoid demurrage and other payments, local payments. You have your goods. Within 30 days, you come back and settle, and within 30 days, you come back and settle the duties that you need to pay. So these are some of the things that we do at the level. So,
CJ, before you go,
once again, I am happy to be part of the program.
Yes, CJ, just before you go, I mean, you've mentioned some of the documents that are required. I mean, you talk about the bill of lading, the parking list, the original invoices. How important is it as far as getting a TIN number is concerned in the work of the GRA?
Okay. If you go to America, for example, I studied in America.
Yeah.
I stayed in America for some time, and I worked there for some time. There is something they call Social Security number. For those of you who travel to America, without Social Security number, you can't get any work, you can't get any transaction officially. So the Social Security number in America is very important for every individual that lives in America. Now, coming back to the Gambia, GRA, when the GRA came into being, one good thing that they come up with is the TIN number. When we establish GRA, and it comes important that every citizen that is involved in an economic activity or doing other things, you must have a TIN number. And these TIN numbers are unique to individuals and unique to businesses. So that is why you can't do anything now. Even in the banks, when you go there, they will ask you, what is your TIN number?
Yes.
Because in other words, it's like next to your birth certificate for individual. So that PIN number is what we have in our system, in the computer system, at the Asikuda wall, as well as in the Gamtax net. The PIN numbers that we have there. When you come, you said you are Alusike. We will put in your name, and then your TIN number will come. And even if we put your TIN number in, then Alusike will pop in. So now what we do with these TIN numbers, we can track everybody that is doing business with us. Sometimes, if you refuse to pay your taxes, domestic taxes, rightly, the domestic tax officers will bring the name list of those who did not pay their taxes, and then they will submit it to customs, and customs look at the TIN numbers and block them. Those importers or those people that are involved in clearing, they will not be able to have any access in terms of importation or any other economic veto. So TIN number is so important to us, and as well as individual citizens. It's just like a social security number that you have in America.
Well, just a quick one, CJ, before you leave us. I mean, you hear people often say, I mean, custom duty is a lot cheaper in Senegal than the Gambia. I mean, is this the case?
Yeah.
Or could you just
clear this? I totally agree. Okay. I don't think they have the statistics. Okay. When you look at the Gambia, what we charge compared to other countries, we are cheaper. We are far cheaper than Senegal in terms of all forms of duty. We are far cheaper than Conakry, Bissau, etc. This is why we have this country as a bouncing state, meaning this is why a lot of people bring in goods here, and they pay duty, and they are able to take it out again. If it is not because of we are cheaper, they would prefer to take it directly to those countries. But because if you compare the duties people pay here with our neighboring countries, we are far cheaper. And that is why people use this country. What is happening now is the world is changing. Everything is changing. You know, so people, what they used to pay 5, 6, 7 years ago or 10 years ago, they can no longer pay that amount of money because everything has changed. And the duty, when you have your customs your invoices. Your invoices are based on CIF. But these CIF are not in dollars. They are in dollars. Because dollar is the one that we use everywhere in terms of import-export. Now, that dollar, whatever it translates to, it may be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. It is always, you use the exchange rate, official valuation exchange rate, and then with that CIF value, whatever it gives you in dollars, then you apply the rate on it. That gives you the duty for the day. So the duty you pay 10 years ago, 5 years or 2 years ago, and the duty you may be paying today will be different because there are other factors that are playing. For example, the dollar. The rate of the dollar last year may be 50. Today it's about 60 something. So if your CIF value, you got it in dollar, when you come and then you prepare your entry, whatever that value is in dollar is multiplied by the valuation rate, and then you have it in dollars. And then the duty rate will be applied. And that may look like it is higher compared to last year or year before last. But in actual fact, to answer your question, the duties and all the payments, and even the turnaround time, whatever the people may say, still in the Gambia here is faster than any other neighboring countries. So I visited personally all these countries. And I know I went to Guinea-Bissau, Conakry, Senegal, all these neighboring countries. I know how much we are charging here compared to what they are charging over there. So I totally disagree. We are still cheaper.
And for someone who is watching this program and you perhaps think, okay, if you import your goods through Senegal, that will exempt you from paying the custom duty in this country. Could you just clarify that as well?
It is not possible for you to bring your goods into the country without paying anything. That is not possible. Whether you come through the air, whether you come through the sea, whether you come through the border, the payments, the rates are the same. There is no way you can come into the country that you can come and get your goods without payment of duty. So that one is out of it. If the goods that are paid, you know, they are the goods, you pay your goods depending on what kind of commodities they are and where they come from. If you have goods that come from Senegal and the goods are made in Senegal, there are exemptions because there are bilateral, multilateral agreements that are within this country, ETLS and others. So that means goods that are produced in Senegal itself, when it comes to Gambia, they don't pay duty. This is what many people don't understand. What they pay will be VAT and other processing fee, eco levy and AU levy. In fact, they may not even pay AU levy or eco levy because they are still part of within ECOWAS. So the most they pay will be processing fee and VAT because these are goods that are from Senegal. If goods come from out of West Africa, that you can understand. And with the coming of AU, you know, so AFD, then that means that anything that comes within Africa, when it's produced within Africa, that means that those goods will not also pay duty. So this is the main difference that many people don't understand. For example, I can give you a good example. If a cement is produced in Senegal and the cement comes through the border, that cement that comes in will not pay duty, but it will only pay a VAT and processing fee. As opposed to a cement that comes from Spain, it comes to Gambia, that cement will pay duty, VAT and everything. And there are other commodities. For example, if you have vegetable cooking oil, the vegetable cooking oil, there is no duty, there is no VAT in it. If it is produced in Senegal or Sierra Leone and it comes through the border, the duty is zero, the VAT is zero. So you expect to get only 1.55%, that's processing fee. So there is a lot of things a lot of people don't understand and they misinterpret it. And we have to follow the rules of the game because we live within a community and we sign protocols and these protocols must be respected.
And I think it's important.
In simple terms, goods that are produced within West Africa, if they come through the border, they don't pay duty. And some of these commodities also, basically the food commodities, most of them are VAT free. So you realize that if they are produced within West Africa, they don't pay duty, they don't pay VAT. So they only pay processing fee, which is next to nothing. But this is because the protocols that we have signed. If they come from Europe, it's a different ball game.
Okay.
That one they are expected to pay.
It's quite interesting that you know you're shedding light on most of these issues. At least it makes people to better understand. I mean, how it goes. I mean, just a quick one. I mean, can custom increase or decrease duty?
Thank you, Ali. That's also something some people at other corners will start saying that, oh, customs has increased, or GRA has increased duty rates and that and that. We don't have power to do that. You know, in life, in general, we have what we call specialization. And the institutions are guided by what their mandates are. GRA, as GRA, we are responsible for mobilizing revenue on behalf of government. But we are operational departments. There are things we can do, there are things we cannot do. Change of rates, that is the responsibility of Minister of Finance. We are under Minister of Finance, by the way. And they are responsible for changes of duty rates or other rates that we use to operate. So once that is done by them through in fact, they do that through the parliament. It has to be approved at the level of the parliament, and then they will submit it to us. And we only applied it. So when rates are changed and people say that it's GRA, it is not GRA. We can only advise. I'm the principal tax advisor to the Minister of Finance. But if I want certain rates to be changed, either to go up or down, what I do is I write a letter to the Ministry, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, and he will discuss with the minister and his team, their staff. They'll look at it. If, for example, they feel like what I advise them, that's not something that they want to take that, they'll drop it. If what I advise makes sense to them, they may add one or two there and take it to the parliament. And if the parliament approves it, then it becomes a law, and then we can now apply it. So GRA on its own, we cannot increase rates, we cannot reduce rates. But we are only operational department. And we remain to be operational department. We leave the policy arm of doing things at the Ministry of Finance. Aliu.
And just finally, if you have any final message, I mean, to all those who are working under the Gambia Revenue Authority, because we have seen over the years, I mean, the annual revenue collection has continued to increase. I mean, this year your target is around $15 billion. I mean, that's quite a huge amount, but yet, you know, you are able to, I mean, reach this target.
Yeah, well, thank you, Aliu, for that. You know, developing countries like one in the Gambia, especially if you are not blessed with a lot of resources, you have no other choice, because they said in English, necessity is the mother of invention. Where there is no other thing to do, you have to invent, you have to come up with something. And with us in the Gambia, the only major source of income is, you know, revenue, taxation. And in that taxation, you need to have people with responsibility, people that are very professional in what they do. So we are lucky at the level of GRA. I make sure that we appoint staff that are very professional, and we make sure that we appoint staff that are very matured and know what they are doing. We have, when ordinarily you talk to people outside, most of them will think that GRA is about customs or domestic taxes. When in actual fact, those of you who are close to GRA, GRA is far more than customs and domestic taxes. We have a full-fledged legal team with more than 6 qualified lawyers. We have a technical arm where Henry and Babukar comes from. Their job is to make sure that, you know, everything on technical issues, taxpayer education and things like that's what they do. We have our own internal audit, a full-fledged internal audit that has ACCA holders, several of them. We have finance and accounting department that is responsible only for collection of revenue and reconciliation. They don't do assessment, but they look at every butut that is paid. Where it's paid, they reconcile it until at the level of the bank, central bank. So we have the HR department that is responsible for the human resources of the institution. We recently even created another department called Enterprise Risk Management Reform and Modernization /IT. So we are doing all this on behalf of the country, because we must put this institution in a proper structure so that they can continue collecting the necessary revenue for the government. If these things are not happening, if these things are not in place, we will not be able to collect what we have collected. Because, let me say this, everybody needs money. Everybody wants money. But I must commend my staff. Collecting this huge amount of money, billions, on an yearly basis, and there are very limited issues. I'm not going to tell you that we don't have issues. We do have issues, but limited issues. So I must commend my staff for their professionalism.
Thank you so much.
If I can just conclude.
Yes.
If you don't have responsible people, a lot of issues you will hear, because we are not dealing with 100,000, 200. We are dealing with billions. We are dealing on a monthly basis. We are dealing with billions. On average, we collect over $1 billion in a month. And to manage collect all that, to bank it all, to bank everything, to account for everything, it is not a child's play. This is a serious work, and I want everybody to understand that this is a serious work. If you have people who don't have brains to work, every day you hear a scandal. Every day you hear a scandal. Imagine you mentioned that we have to collect 15 billion. You think people collecting 15 billion, if they are playing games, you would not be hearing scandals on a daily basis? Look at institutions that are dealing with hundreds of thousands. Every day there is an audit issue. Every day there is a problem. Look at GRA. For the longest period, we are keep collecting billions and billions, and we are accounting for every bottle that we collect. So I must commend my staff for them being professional, and I will continue encouraging them to be professional and to know that we have no other country but Gambia, and nobody can come here and to develop this country for us. But it is us who can develop this country. And meaning that everybody where you are is a division of labor. People who work at finance, they have a job to do. People who work at GRA, they have a work to do. People who work at Port Authority, they have a work to do. Everybody has a work to do. But together, we can make a country. If we all work efficiently, effectively, where we are, at the end of the day, this country will develop.
Thank you.
So we have to stop
thank you so much,
just pulling each other down
Yeah.
and make sure that we focus and help each other to build this nation called the Gambia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner General Yankuba Dabo. Well, there you have the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo. He spoke to us last week during a similar program, because I mean he is the head of the authority, and it is important that we get to hear what he has to say as far as the reforms that are ongoing at the GRA are concerned, but also I mean what they are doing to ensure there's that efficient tax collection in the country. Like you have heard from him, collecting almost $15 billion is by no means a small work, but I mean with the teamwork, I mean they're able to accomplish a lot of things as far as tax revenue is concerned, because at the end of the day, the Gambia is a tax-based economy, and it is. Bawkar will always say, I don't know where Gambia will head to without GRA, and I quite agree. But then with leadership, I mean, they are able to achieve a lot. Bawkar indi wala rek dégg nga si lim wax noonu si kalama angale wax bi gudd na waaye wax bi yëpp dafa am solo trop.
Wow, thank you very much, Aliou. Dina pick at least ñaari point. Benn bi mooy liñ dee wax affaire yi yokka tax wala wàññi tax bi. xam nga in town ñu bari dang dee dem si yenn businessman ñu ngi jaay ay bagage soo waxee ñu ne la GRA ñoo yokka.
Masa dégg naa place yu bari.
Waaw te fekk non suñ mandate nekkut pour yokka tax. Because if my recollections are right, for naa depuis around 2017 la tax géej a yokku oo wàññeeku. Loolu liggéey National Assembly bi la. Comme ni ko CG waxee dafa jaar through the finance ministry mu dem si National Assembly bi ñu taxawal ko mu nekk loi. Den liggéey GRA mooy pour enforce collect ak banque. So du ñun suñu responsibility pour yokka tax soo demee jënd bagage ñu ne la VAT dafa yokku wala ñu ne la tax dafa yokku wala nii information boobu correctut so bugga nañ pour nit ñu understand ne ñun yokka tax du suñu responsibility tey suñ Ministry of Finance drafté any tax legislation ñu yóbbu ko to the National Assembly su ko National Assembly bi xoolee suñ si d'accordut du taxaw foog ñu d'accord si mu nekk loi pour ñu mun pour ñun ñu mun a collect den ñu banque den second point bi ma bëgg a wax tam mooy affaire yi li moo gërëm staff si liñ commit si liggéey bi loolu tamit dañ koo gërëm moom tamit ak ñi nga xam ne ñoo ko jàppale mooy top management senior management board bi ak all the other staffs ñi nga xam ne ñoom ñoo mun a make sure liggéey bi mu dem because liggéey bi ñaari xaaj la ñoom ñi nga xam ne ñoo responsible pour pousse ñu dem ak ñun ñi nga xam ne ñooy dem pour implement ko.
comme li ma de wax every time rek upton dan note ngay digga ñu naan la ak to whom much is given much is expected.
Exactly.
But in dama de wax gars yi ma ne to whom much is expected much should be given.
Very well.
te foog naa loolu laa nekk di gis when it comes to GRA. I mean
Wow.
much is given to the staff pour mën a gis ne ñu mën def seen liggéey.
Exactly so da nga gis ne mboolem li ñu soxla dañ ko dee am. pour make sure liggéey bi mu yomba. so moom su gërëmee staff si. man tam dinaa ko gërëm on behalf of staff si. waaw.
leadership qualities la.
waaw
nekko di jël crédit bi yëpp. waaye yëpp mu ngi ko delloo staff yi.
waaw.
comme li Babacar wax rek li olof di wax ne feccum liir su neexee.
yaa jàpp si mbagal
day ci mbagal.
dama dëgg olof. non waaye Babs. dama dëgg
dañoo
olof.
feccoo olof bi waaw.
waaw.
ba pare point bi nga njëkk a wax tamit. bu ma see ñëw nit ñi dañoo wax jiyaar yi dafa yokk waaye foog naa ne li si ji wax leer na. su fekkee ne yow li nga jëndee bagage dollar la. ñun amuñ right si dollar bi ndax du dégg. waaw so dafa éeg di wàcca dafa des rek si dollar bi su éegee borom businessman bi mooy borom marchandise bi jëndee lu seer kooku doo expect ne su ñëwee fii nii affaire bi dafa yomba. du yomba te foog naa custom tam si ni ñoo caajee dafa des si yow ni nga jëndee. so affaire bi du yomba. percentage bi fi mu nekkoon foofu la nekk ba léegi. waaye yokkute bi si jënda bee jaay bi la am. te loolu tam dafa des si dollar bi wala li gars yi di jëndee. waaw.
Ibrahima yamoy CJMA fo ala kumo jamfatale bari ay kuma kendol foje wala mu jiare be do ko minna pour kaje nyanta kanaw men kolok pour gambela yurwa ay soto andu panen ay stafol tentu ke jay katu nyaaje nyimbe sotota to nyalam atle mu nyaaton ko di bari melbe duma panan wala panan yama koy bakale yamon sore mama falasiti yela ko
barka baga aliou badin jibir lal ko aliou anin do ko nyoli afu nyami na commissioner jera mun keta yanku wadda boti jama ka gum na CG ala nyaton ko yakoto jiare falindir jaman lo soto so ni rara do kulalla nyantola ani karawla karora pour que sembento ya pour mo fen ke kan jiare pour ka make sure that ilawo ko nyin ayta nyama ko afo nyamin ko ni nata namo la fen ko la kafola jiare man sembo soto pour que namo la fa gambe banko kam o sembo be juma bolo ministry of finance so ado ministry of finance ni o satrol nadna ka asma mi to wolon député bundo wala national assembly ka si yoko ya jibe ya je fo a jarta ke namu wala silafano banko ka nyaadi le so ni ministry of ni national assembly na tan luwata ya pass wolon e sontala so isa nan nan GRA so mo GRA sna ko ta ka tamandi wona man ko de kay GRA man sembo so pour que mo namuta ka lafa ko ndo nyoli afu nyam fa ni na fanan dunia kono baga sol selo anila jio o mantra GRA fanan bulu ni na da jiwe dunia la business o ta mani dollar la adun dollar mu fiondo mu yanako aga sele la aga ji so business man o na afindira da banda ay sandiro ke ala business o la ita mix o la ete na ko asam na dollar selling ayna o jindiro new bada yi fanan na commissioner general yanko dabo ay ku jama fanan kacha ko ni dem importade dem multi mu yana ko ye mu business man walti adum ye marchandise wala ke bondinan bandala pour ki nan gambe jang ay fo ko sartol le bi wala kaytol be sulala mulla pour ko nan pour ici la business o la marchandise o ke clair ke bondi pororo follow o mbol kono wala bill of lading di o mu carrier men ko yende ko sotole o kayrol kay tan ko bagage sol ñi aka bona mintole anin wat animul le kulun kono anin kulun juma wala naati kam flanjang wolon parking list ñanda ko kayto fanan soto kayrol kay tan ko bagage juma ñi lo sifa ñaadi le kulun kono wala container yin kono motorcycle long television wala munna fen ko don sabanjang wolon original invoice woron sitwol fanan ñanda kala mun ko receipt kallankelo ade nyanta sahala fanan kayitande ko ni recitol ye fewnon sa ye soto jellala wolon CIFT wolon cost insurance and freight ni o baraji nani jang wolon manifest fanan mu kayitoti mano ko company ye bagage wol sandam China wala tuwado America wolle ko kinan duwan bundala o nyanda futala jannin tili saba jannin container nyanda ko futala so ko kum yana ko do kula container ko no manifest fanan kawitandi yo na keba mungata yanko dawda na kacha team number fanana so nyaaji we team number ayo ko bambandi bakala ko team number mo kuldi mi ana ko gambe jang ete do ko soto no e man team number so na mo fana ita jono re man tin no soto so tin mo ko dum ya kumata pour gambe dimul be mano ko be gambe jang wala wulur ya be business o pour que tin soto ni sanjitan anin say soto en ga tin no soto ay ku jama fana kacaji ay ko jiare mo bunnalti mena fanu da bagel jama ni ko jiare mo jama ko na ko douane lon wala domestic tax ako hani wonde jiare tata fo bua kunda say domestic tax be wala kono custom douane be wala kono wala technical service ndel fana bian ndel boto department oldo e loyal finance soto le audit department soto e IT department so nan kudol mo yan ko asiatal so ay kul bi kacale pour ka aje ko jiare ka ku jama tamandi ni nata naflo la karola jiare sawo sang ke karo kari ka billion soto mo yan ko do
akuma ara bak yemi faten kadu comme nga fo nyame nyaaje ni be ka certain safo no Bawkar, I might be wrong by for now you want to have statistics pour hold the institution with the highest degree holders ba jiare duñ naka ci kaw dabel because dafa mel ni CG si wàllu jànga moom nekk di ko caaxaane
munu ma la wax figo bi exactement waaye HR department bi ñoom am nañ loolu si seen système bi ñu ooy HRIS am na système bu ñu ooy HRIS am nañ ku nekk ñoom suñ fi nekkoon ñoom di lañ la doon wax di number of PhD holders yi am masters holders BSc
dafa am solo parce que loolu dafa gën a yokka amin di output xam nga si wàllu institution bi because soo amee ñoo xam ne jàng nañ xam nañ liñ nekk di def dafa yombalal liggéey bi débel si kàllaama Paul rek dégg nga si yilum wax nga summarize ko rek
a jarama Aliou nen ƴetta kala musidɗo mo gandanɗa laara QTV nden fadde min calmini ɗumen fof min calmini onon fof kala hay dow ɗum noon siji ko haali ɗo ko laaɓi mi fuɗɗoto tan ɗo Baboucar fuɗɗori ɗo ɓayde hen nder saare yimɓe kewɓe nana ɓeni mbaɗa complain wondema jiyare ɓeydi namoji men ɗi jiyare ɓeydi koɓe jomnitto ko ɗon min paala laɓɓinde wondema wona jiyare minen kala komin liggoto nin siko wona he sago min liggorto nin kala komin liggoto retta ko e onda ministry he woni ɗum woni ministry of finance ko on woni ministre amen o kala ko iwtan kala ko toon fuɗɗorto ko ka en jaata si ɓe paalama ɓeydude han walla ɓe paalama oytidde han e dow ɗum noon on suman naɓe to national assembly to si ɓen jaɓani ɗum han arta e dow amen minen min fuɗɗo ligge ɗe ko noon min liggorto siko wona jiyari heeɓi right pour ɓeyda taxe rate ɗum woni percentage ɗi pour yimɓe ɓe gandira noon ɗimmo o noon ɓayri ko kalnomi Baboucar ko tan ko ɓeydannomi ɗum ko julaba mo gandanta ko kay sodoyi marchandise muɗum so yeehi ha arti han ko ma tan ɗamino hen profit e dow ɗum kala noon en jii wondema dollar o no ƴeŋirta ni ɗinin jippo te noon charges ji douane ji ɗi foof heddima he o dollar noon walla ko coddirɗa marchandise o ko ɗon ɓe darta siko redsi ɗi ɗo wonno hanke o haajo ko ɗon mo woni sita noon an julaba a yeehi a sodori ko heewi e dollar he sa artiga han original invoice o ko ɗum hollirta e dow ɗum kala noon ɗum woni CIF o cost insurance e frais o ko ɗon jiyarinaɓe ɓangta ɓe kalnama ko gandanta ko ɗum poɗɗa yobde naamu sita noon joomum ko soodi ko dollar o ɗin ƴeŋno seeɗa ko ma tan affaire o ƴeeŋa seeɗa yimɓeɓe pour ɓe gandira noon he dow ɗum kala noon no meɗen jaara siji ɓayri kay jaari minen foof staff ji ɗi siko jarama o fof koto mum ɗum foti ruttade ɓayde sa laari ɗum kay ko liida mo gandanta e jaɓani yimɓe ɓe foof kala noon ɗini waabi yimɓe ɓe foof kala gonɗo toon mo woni waabi maɗe accide hakkildal yimɓe ɓe henoɓe liggorto comme no mo haaliri tan liggey ka mo gandanta e ñalande he walla he lewru he oɗon ndentina billions ji wona million wona thousands ɗum wona cakan ko rewtini foof ha naɓe to banque ɗon ko kulle ɗe gandanta ko liggey woni hen e dow ɗum noon miɗen jara ɗon minen foof miɗen liggo he jaam yo Allah ɓeydi on jaam eyyi e dow ɗum kala noon import export o min gara hen seeɗa sita time ɗe wodi
exactly mbaɗa summarise rek because a nani mi lemɗume kulle import o diggante Sénégal ak Gambia bi parce que loolu foofu dafa am solo pour kala bawka tan ñëw
ok mo haali ɗon kala ko laaɓi yimɓe mbiyat wondema bagage ji sa addi bagage ma nder Sénégal to port mumen to ko toon ɓuuri webde enen ga mo haali ɗon kala wondema ɗin ko haalalaji tan because sa laari hen yimɓe kewɓe ko ɗo ɓe garta ɓe ganda bagage uji mumen ɗi ɓe jooɓa kala ko ɓe foti yobde on suman ko heewi a yiyat motoji naɓa Guinée Bissau Guinée Conakry Mali ko wayi noon ɗum fof noon hollanma wondema ko enen kala ɗo eɗen jeeto kala ko gandanta ɗeni pour no julabaji ɗi tan no ɓe ta tampere nde dal tampinani ɗumen e biyete no affaire o ɓuuri webde rek jiyaari ɗin hen natta wondema kala yimɓeɓe ko kalta ko wona noon yarata par ce que bagage uji ɗi gandanta ta ko Sénégal fewna han ɗin ɗon joɓanta salarié mo joɓanta juuti ko heewi ko jobta ko ɗi processing fee he VAT ɗon mo laɓɓini ɗum bagage uji ɗi ɓaski ko addi ɗum eɗen keeɓi sartaji ɗi gandanta eɗen jaɓani ɗum Sénégal kala e jaɓani hen ɗum pour ɗon kala laaɓa pour yimɓeɓe no kalirta nin tan
Bakar so mën a ñëw rek nga jéem a leeralal yëfi import bi parce que laal naa ko foofu noonu nga ñu bari dañu no Sénégal moo gën a yomba moo tax ñu bari ñu fa indi seen bagage yi laajte naa ko tam ñi nga xam ne ñu ngi indi seen bagage yi through Sénégal ndax dafa mel ne soo ko indee Sénégal doo war a fay li nga war a fay Gambie fii nii
lu bëree bëri understanding bi moo dee nekk problème because like ok xam nga dugal bagage si réew mi dafa am ñaari fànn am na lu ñu ooyee goods on transit su dee for exemple da nga jël moto mu jógee bitim réew mu jaar Sénégal doo fa fay juuti li nga fay mooy processing fii ñu clear moto bi mu génna because good bi is bound for Banjul so ñëwee Banjul fii ngay fay juuti moo tax nga dee gis moto yu bari dee ñëwee yooni suuf bi ñëwee am dalay wala ñu ñëwee Farafenni
da nga dem nga fekk
moto yi fa paak yëpp loolu
waaw moto yi fan lañ jógee
waaw ñoo ñëpp dañ war a fay juuti te su demee ba 6 months fayuloo den suñ ko gasete loi bi daf dee joxe doole pour ñu oxine moto yooyu suñ ko oxine ñu ko la génnee fa juuti bi balance bi ñu jox la ko so da ngaa gis ne nit ñi dañ war a understand between good buy ñëw direct to Gambia ak li nga xam ne transit la moo nekk te si ji wax na ko very clear suñ juuti bi within the West Africa sub region moo gën a cheap yeneen dëkk yi yëpp waaw so differentiation boobu la nit ñi understand so da ngaa gis ne dañ bugg a clear loolu tam comme ñi dee indi moto yi ñu bari dañ ko dee bugg a smuggle te suñ la si téye loi bi am na lum si wax comme par exemple su dee da nga smuggle moto mu duga si réew mi ñu téye la si booda bi Farafenni am da lay war a jaara sooma loi bi joxe na doole 3 times the duty li nga waroon a fay ñu caaj la ko te loi bi joxe na doole tam pour nga forfeit dat bagage boobu noonu bi nga doon smuggle because tapale la so da ngaa gis ne dañ bugg a nit ñi ñu bàyyi xel si loolu looy indi rek ñëwal nga jaar through the system nga fay te tamit wax na benn point bu important mostly ñi nga déggal ñu ne la ñëw nañ si port bi jël nañu ay 5 days 6 days mënuñoo génne suñ bagage yi naa la orne kayit yi ñu war a am yëpp amuñ ko comme liñ fi list indi pass bill of lading bi parking list bi manifest bi original invoice bi xam nga ti number bi ak yooyu so amul all those correct documents dina am delayance bu fa am.
parce que loolu sax soo ko xoolee nekkul si interest si GRA wala port sax.
pour mu delay la non.
because ñoom di first ñu clear la.
dafa gën a yombal liggéey
dafa yombal seen liggéey.
because port bi daf dee congest. so di moo ñu clear bagage yi. mu nekk lu easy.
te am na leneen lu wax tam léegi la ko suma xel bi laal. comme like soo indee bagage in bulk. pour mu ñu yaakamte rek nga génne sa bagage
direct delivery
exactly ñu jël affaire bi yëpp li nga
ñu
war a
bàyyi la nga yóbbu
ñu bàyyi la nga yóbbu
after 1 month nga ñëw nga fay
na time diiri am na 30
that's
days
quite flexible
waaw
loolu yëpp pour dimbal nit
comme ñi dee indi maalo yi nii ciment yi ak yooyu mu nekk lu bari mënuloo ko fay on the spot dinañ la jox nga clear bagage yi waaye dañ la jox deadline 30 days at least nga ñëw nga fay soo ñëwut fay nag enforcement officers yi dinañ ñëw
Sane yaa mooy si yéen ay même fo ñi ko mel ko bagasole import nang through Sénégal ka po jele chipta no gambela serta aje senandi le
Aliou ka barka bage ko Aliou ka fo nyame na keba mun keda siji yanko wadabo aje senandi le ka fo ne bagaso bondi nang Sénégal a chipta wol ko no o man soto ko moni mane mon lekila kuma kensen fo rek bara yate ay bankol be male gambe ay Sénégal ma Guinée Bissau male ay Mali male ako gambe janna tarifo kam charging kam na wala sonera ni ajibe kadu bagas ni abon Sénégal dada Sénégal anata gambe jang o abike namoja kam jo wala processing fee ani vati bar bagaso mo yan ko wala dada kabonang Africa e bandal like example ko cimento ya bonan Spain ya nan gambe jang o dal o faye namo jo wala juti jo so ina kacaro fananka ko like mulke bagasol bondan Sénégal fanna fulalong bagasol yima ko on transit long wala yenta ka tambini ngembele ta Mali wala comme babu kare fu ñam ni moto bondan Sénégal ya nan jang so nyanda ka ko dum jo Senegal wolon processing fiti yibi ke namo jo bare moto ni amanta tara sabat la Senegal amina Gambia bankol kan so janna ni fulata Gambia banko jang nyanda ka namo jole ba hani wo modul kana jele ya tambani silo la silo mena ko amanta loi manson wolon smogulindi ni karana depot barumbe dentimbri ka moto taraje so wo mu fennati mu yanako ni mutala ay ke loi la kan kulo mena ko dimi mbata wala ne nyaade kilin jole ka ke signa saba ko ne 100,000 jole signa ka 300,000 jole moto nyaada pagi ya wafi nada fay kar woro si yaje ko itam man nano da sina moto da ya oxin so ni ya oxin ni sa wafi ko ni ya nyande mun jola ya bondi ya di mansala ete ko to nyaata ya cika ya dila to kon commissioner general ayim foten kolwel larintene ni dara jiare bi ne pour que mon mako pour que bisino sonandi ko afu nyam fana direct delivery ko ni marchandise jamana nan na pororo adi manna jono jiare ko wan so me si o keno ete importer wala mo si adire yele bagage wala fintini ya samba ya wafi fo karkiling ko la isnata ya ina mburna jiare ya ta ya jo yo bi kel pour ka ko ka sonandi jom fani ya itande ko molka fa na fewn ni nan na bagaso nan bo pororo karkiling lokum fula yo foko e ke wolo for rek bari mum bije bi ko fo mole bi ko ni aji be kayto dol le mo nyinda surato la pour ko kayto fintindi pour que la bagaso annatna ko na fo nya don guide tino man oda tingsol ba modol bi ko be soto no so e ke la fe ko da ka samba ni ko mal ko fintinde ade ni ma ko kayto soto ite o ila bagaso ita fintino la poro ni mobi anoko ake abi determine adon pour que la bagaso mo daji o manke jiare la amke ay sonde profit to jiare anim poro fanam so di ni sonde yen kayto be ni yata ya ye findin nanje ni a bondi wolwe cool sonde jiare wani de fanam
comme bawo ko men for drong hani yara katel be soro if you don't go to the right channel bagaso bondi
pour le
bagaso kana ke kolya ku do
exactly so
bawo ko han ma ñu ngi time bi mu ñu waja jamm way so mu ne summarize ci lo gatre bara indi dabel pour ñu mëna tagato
waaw loolu am na solo comme niñ ko waxee si doorin bi rek ñu ngi jaajëfal suñ management bi under the leadership of the commissioner general pare comme ñi fond programme bi tam AFD bi tam ñu ngi leen a jaajëfal ñoom tamit xam nga because like du dee easy pour fond programme yu mel nii xam nga ba pare CG li mu wax tam is important soo gisee ñun ñëpp ñu mun a sawar pour ñëw def liggéey bii nii liñ ci soxla yëpp ñu ngi koo am waaw moo tax nga dee gis daf tey yomba ñu jógee si dëkk bi ñu dem country wide trek radio station si Banjul ba passé nañ dem fu nekk ay 15 days ay 11 yëpp sensitization la
te yéen a ngi am huge impact
waaw because xam nga nit ki soo xamul tam ignorance of the law is not an excuse waaye tamit soo ko sensitiser tam daf koy yombalal pour compliance bi mu easy because ñun liñ bugga at some point bugga nañ 100% compliance bi nga xam ne léegi sensitisation sax du amaat.
moo tax even bi nga indi di rental income tax bi.
waaw
moo tax gis ko pour nit gën a
pour ñu understand
leer.
waaw because nit ñi nekkul ne dañ dee bañ a fay waaye understanding bi mooy issue bi. waaw so moo tax da nga gis ne di sensitisation programme dañ ci dee def millions of dollars every year to make sure ne dem nañ country wide because last quarter bi nii ñu ngi prepare pour dem si. maybe sometime next month. la ñoo dem URR CRR LRR WCR pour dem def di last quarter because every quarter dañ dee dem. si region si so da nga gis ne time bi ñoo dem programme si xew fii dañ ko dee poosangum ñu play record si fii on all the radio station and the TV ñu dem fii leen ñu def live programme si den suñ jeexalee loolu ñu ñëw waaw
yombut waaye yëpp si national development rek la comme si ni mu ko dee waxee rek ku si nekk rek fi nga nekk defal lu la war at the end of the day defal li la war rek yàlla moom ngi seetaan at the end of yàlla moom xol la muy fay soo fa nekkee nekkul def sa liggéey nga bëgg a jaas njaaj loolu du la jox li nga bëgg a woo dëkk bi du develop soo si nekk rek foo nekk rek na nga try nga góorgóorlu nga liggéey nga xam ne at the end of the day Gambia ñu ñoo ko moom kenn du jógee outside ñëw pour develop Gambia Kande I understand we've run out of time thank you so much for coming on the program today. That was Dabel Kande, tax officer. Dabel, it was good to have you on the program. And Ibrahima S. Sade, tax education officer. Ibrahima, it was good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Babs, it's always a pleasure to share the platform with you. Babukar Njai, senior tax education officer. Mr. Njai, it was good to have you. Tey moom keewa ma ñëwut Henry xam naa mu ngi seetaan xam naa mu ngi ree xam naa mu ngi soo waaji
dafa dawte.
Well, viewers, with that we bring an end to this week's edition of your taxpayer education program brought to you by the Gambia Revenue Authority in collaboration with French Development Agency. Do join us next week. Until then, continue paying your tax for national development. Bye.